it's going to come back to you with marketing, lead generation, referrals, and customer experience outside of just your client. Welcome back, everyone, to another midweek Modern Craftsman. Happy to have you here today. Hopefully you are having yourself a wonderful week. I am. Started a new job. Pretty excited about it. It's a screened-in porch addition. We're doing a new patio, some regrade in the backyard. But I showed up to the job, and my truck, my trailer, my equipment immediately ripped down the fence, met the neighbor, realized she was pregnant, and got me thinking about some of the aspects of our systems and our processes that can make or break a project. One of them being how we treat not only our clients, but the people who are directly adjacent to those projects, the neighbors. So their neighbor, turns out, is 9 months pregnant. She was due this past weekend. If she doesn't go into labor, she's going to get induced this weekend. I know that my client had mentioned this. I didn't realize she was already due. So I'm showing up to start a project with a woman who's ready to have a baby, their first baby. And I began to think what I can do to make this process and this project successful. I started thinking if that was my wife, the last thing I'd want is noise, dust, and disruption, especially at home, our safe place that we just moved into where we're looking to bring our first child home. So today's conversation is going to be about what we can do as builders and remodelers to protect not only our clients, but the people who live right next door to our jobs. The small details, the systems we can put in place, and the mindset that can turn potential friction into trust, relationships, and even future work. So a little background about this project. It's a return client of mine I've worked for probably for 10 to 12 years at this point, 2 different houses, multiple projects in each house, some big, some small. But I have a really good relationship with her. There's a lot of trust. And this project she's been in this house maybe 5 years. This project she's been wanting to do probably for 2 years. And I've just had too much on my plate. It's a bigger project for me, thinking about how I can get over there, the workforce, the subcontractor base, right? That everything's set up to do this efficiently and that I can actually execute this project properly. So by the time I cleared off my plate to get it done, started digging into design, submitted zoning to the township, realized I was going to need a variance for the project. So interesting situation. The home was built in the 50s, I believe. And at some point since the 50s, they changed the zoning regulations. So the house is fine for impervious coverage. The house is fine for lot coverage. But the setbacks from the side yards of the neighbors is not up to today's zoning. So because I'm attaching a screened-in porch addition to the house, the addition is within the zoning guidelines. So my addition it meets the standard and the guideline for setback, but because the house is not within the zoning regulations, it is considered that I am exacerbating an existing condition. And it's because the house does not meet the new zoning regulation, even though there's been nothing that's done wrong. The house hasn't changed. It's been this way since the 50s. Because I want to tie onto it, I need to get a variance, regardless of that my screened-in porch addition does not encroach on the setbacks. Everything's within code. Everything's within the zoning guidelines. It's just because the existing house is. So unbeknownst to me, I had to get a variance for this. So getting the variance in place, giving it the 30-day waiver in order to make sure that nobody has any issues with it. I'm starting way later than anticipated, coming in on winter weather, everything else, a ton of challenges with this. And then I show up and I meet the neighbor. They're next door. It's an older neighborhood. The houses are very close. And the street that I'm parking on is tight, so everyone knows what's going on. The driveway is 5 feet from the house, and I'm bringing an excavator, and I poke my head over the backyard to meet the woman who moved in. And I've been working on this house for 5 years, so I've known who's lived there and when people haven't been there. and went to introduce myself, and she turned around, and I know that my client had mentioned she was pregnant, but she was very pregnant and she looked great. Pregnant women, I think that pregnant women are some of the most beautiful women in the world. I know when my wife was pregnant, I never found her more beautiful, stronger. I love when women are bringing children into this world. I think that the whole glow thing is amazing. They are some of the strongest and most beautiful creatures I've ever witnessed. That being said, this woman, very pregnant. And I was like, oh my goodness, congratulations. I know Megan had told me you're pregnant. I didn't realize, like, how soon are you due? And she's like, oh, I was due this past Sunday. And I said, oh, wow, that's the worst. My wife was 2 weeks late or 11 days late with both of our kids. It was very stressful, very difficult. I knew how I felt. This was their first kid. I knew how I felt. And I would not have been happy to see somebody unloading an excavator next door to my house to start a project. And I said, are you going to get induced? She said, yeah, if I don't go into labor, I'll get induced this weekend. I was like, oh, hopefully go into labor. And then I realized, like, I need to ensure that this woman and her husband and their family are comfortable in this space that they've created for themselves, regardless and independent of what's going on with my client and my project. Yes, I owe it to my client to do what I have to do, but this is a really, really critical stage in these people's lives, and it can be very stressful. Sometimes it's not, but for me, it was very stressful. And I don't want to create more anxiety or stress in their lives right now. So I told them, hey, here's my phone number. If there's any reason why you don't want me to come to work on any certain day, reach out to me, let me know. More than happy to just bag it for the day, take a day off. It's more important that you guys are safe, comfortable, and that I'm not disrupting your life at this point, the juncture of life that you are in. So she was very grateful for that. And it made me feel good to be able to take somebody else's situation feelings into account. So win-win. So a couple seconds later, she's out back and she's scooping up dog poop for her dog. And she's like, oh my goodness, your dog's in your truck. Can she come play in the backyard with my dog? And I was like, if you want her to, she's very friendly. I'm sure she'd love it, but she's also perfectly fine where she is. I'm only going to be here for an hour, so she'll sit in that truck all day long. She's like, oh no, you should bring her over. So I bring Polly over, and she's playing with their dog, Pippin, and hanging out. I'm doing my thing, and I see all three of them go inside. And I was like, all right, Polly's in the neighbor's house. And this is not the first time this has happened. I've had other people who have met Polly and liked Polly that have asked to bring her inside while I'm working because she's just sitting outside. I'm like, yeah, sure. Not my clients, people who live next door. This is not the first time. But I was there for probably about an hour. I was setting things up, figuring out what I needed until I got my bigger work truck there. And it was time to leave. I had done everything I needed to do to see if Polly would come back out. Polly was not coming outside. Whatever Polly was doing inside, she was fully content. So I ended up having to knock on the door and be like, hey, can you tell Polly it's time to go now? So I had to actually ask them to let my dog out. Spoke with them a little bit more, where they're moving from, what their situation is like, handed them my card, and was like, honestly, it's really important to me. If you have any issues, if somebody's parked in front of your driveway, if it's difficult to back out, if there was dirt, if there's noise, if you just aren't comfortable with us being here for certain hours or certain aspects of the day, please let me know, and I'll do my best to adapt and make this as easy as possible for you. I understand that you would not want, in a perfect world, somebody showing up to start a major project basically when you're past due and pregnant. So it just got me thinking how we impact not only our clients' lives, right? I have all of these systems in place for site protection, making sure my clients' driveways are clean, their house is clean, that we're working certain hours, that nobody's smoking, that they're not leaving trash anywhere. But what about the people who are directly outside of that project? And it doesn't matter if it's an outdoor project, if it's an indoor project. You have subcontractors there. You have people showing up early, you have people showing up late. They're leaving stuff in the street. They're parking where people sometimes park. That their mailman can't get to the mailbox. They can't put their trash out. They're afraid that the trash person's not going to be able to see their their cans. There's little things that people have habits that they don't want disrupted. And this noise, the debris, the parking, the disruption in general can all ripple outward and have a much greater impact than you realize. So neighbors and people within earshot or eye shot of your projects can become allies. They can become future customers and clients if you treat them kindly, if you go out of your way to do good things for them and protect them and ensure that their best interests are kept in mind. Or they can become adversaries. And I've experienced both, and I've as a contractor, and I've also experienced both as a homeowner. And it's really important to not only treat your clients well, sometimes even more important to treat their neighbors well. So be aware of that impact beyond your client. The job sites affect the neighbors just as much as the homeowners. If I put my porta potty right outside of a kitchen window of a client next door, maybe they don't want to look out their kitchen window and see a porta potty or seeing people going in and out of their house. So maybe position the porta potty that it's less obtrusive to them. Just little things like that. I think the big thing is being preemptive with this. Introducing yourselves when you show up. There's somebody new in the neighborhood. There's going to be trucks, there's going to be noise, there's going to be radios, it's just change, and people are not used to it, and sometimes they don't want it. So lead with empathy. Put yourself in their shoes. Imagine your wife's due, or if you're a woman, you're due with your first child. Imagine that you live in this small neighborhood and it's quiet and you're coming into fall and you're excited to spend time outside, and somebody comes and they're going to be making a ton of noise in the backyard next to yours for the next 3 months. Just understand how that may impact them. Be cognizant of it. Maybe there's nothing you could do, but having a conversation with those neighbors. Hey, if we ever start too early, if we ever work too late, here's my card, here's my cell phone. If something comes up, you're having a party, you're having people over, you're having a Halloween party, let us know. We'll get out early that day. We'll make sure everything's cleaned up, that it doesn't impact your life. And the same goes for your clients. Just offer that proactive communication. I'm at the point in my life where if I have to miss a day, 2 days, 3 days of work to ensure that my clients and my clients' neighbors are having the best experience possible, I will more than likely do that, because I understand it's going to not only create a good environment currently at like real time as it's happening, but it's going to come back to you with marketing, lead generation, referrals, and customer experience outside of just your client, right? I could reach out to the neighbors after I get done a job and say, hey, just wrapped up my client's job. I'm curious what your experience was like. Would you mind leaving me a review or writing me a referral based on your experience as a neighbor? And that's something that's really valuable when clients go on and they're considering hiring somebody. Not only how do they treat our client, but how they treat the people around us. Did they keep a neat job site? Did they sweep the street every night? Did they ensure that people weren't parking in front of our mailbox, that we could put our cans out? All these little things add up and speak volumes for you as a business owner and just as a human being. These simple gestures show respect and build goodwill, which is invaluable during these relationships. So create systems for those neighbor relations. Introduce yourself to the neighbors day one. Have your employees and your subcontractors do that as well. Hey, the electrician's showing up on the job. I'm going to show up. I'm going to get the electrician in the house. I'm going to introduce the electrician to the neighbor next door because it's a really tight neighborhood. There's not a ton of parking. If I park across from a driveway and somebody can't back out and they're not in the best mood, that could really put them over the tipping point where now they're just pissed off at us because every day somebody parks right behind their driveway and they can't back out. So introducing them to subcontractors. Hey, this is Darren. Darren's my electrician. He's going to be here for the next 3 days. If you need something from him, if his guys are in the way, get a hold of Darren. He can move it. If Darren's not here or you can't get a hold of Darren, please get a hold of me. We'll make right by this. We want this to be as seamless as possible for you. We do not want to affect your life, your lifestyle. So let us know what you need from us. Again, give them your number, give them your cell phone. A lot of times people will never reach out, but it's the goodwill that you care in the first place that creates that rapport and just sets the tone for the entire project. Establish policies within your company and within your trades, like pause policies if needed for noise, emergencies, rest, holidays, right? We're all pushing to get things done on the holidays. What if somebody's having a holiday party and they're setting up outside and they're concerned what the project's going to look like because you have tools all over the place, you haven't cleaned up, the road's dirty, there's people parked all over. Be aware of what's going on in the neighborhood and plan accordingly. Make sure that you have cleanliness protocols for streets, driveways, yards. Just because you're in somebody's backyard doesn't mean that everything shouldn't be put away every night. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't be blowing off the entire job site, making sure the streets clean, the sidewalks clean, going through with the magnet, making sure there's no nails, making sure that the trash isn't laying around. All of these impact people, right? If they're looking out their back door eating dinner and you just have crap everywhere, it's not going to look good on you and your business. So today I got to the job. I don't have my big truck there, so I have equipment trailer. I brought my excavator over. I made a list of everything that I thought I would need to be able to get the excavator unloaded, take down the small section of fence, and get the excavator in the backyard. I realized that I had tracked some sand that must have been within the rollers of the tracks into the street. I didn't have my blower with me. So I asked my client to borrow a broom. I did have some hand tools. I had a rake, and I went out and I raked the street from where I unloaded because it wasn't in front of my neighbor's house because people were parked there. So it's the same thing. I don't want somebody to come home and say, hey, the neighbors across the street are getting work done. They parked their truck in front of our house. Why couldn't they park in front of the customer's house? And then they left dirt in front of our house. Sure, it's not their road. They don't own it. But that's something that somebody, and sometimes I would get upset about myself, that I want to avoid, right? So I do my best to, even if I cannot get the street completely clean, if I show the effort that I'm out there, that I care. Maybe I have to bring back a pressure washer. Maybe I have to bring back my blower. Maybe I have to bring back a heavier push broom, but at least I'm making an effort. If something comes up, I can say, hey, sorry, I did my best. I forgot my blower at home. I brushed it off. I'll finish it up tomorrow. The small details matter. The small acts of respect go a long way for you, the relationship, and your reputation. And just continue to think, how would I feel coming home to this? If I came home after a long day of work and I couldn't get in my driveway, or I couldn't park my car out front of my truck, or a car out front of my house where I always do, maybe you get upset about it. Yeah, you don't own the road. Your clients don't own the road. But if they have these systems and these habits and they're just so used to doing it, just make their lives easier. Those little things can go such a long way in building great relationships. And it's also how your clients' neighbors are going to treat your client, right? If I don't take into account my client's neighbors, then they're going to be upset with my client. My client mentioned, she said, hey, I saw you introducing yourself to the neighbor. They're new here. I haven't really talked to him that much, but she seemed like she really liked you. And like, that's amazing. She said the last guy who lived here didn't like me at all, but he would come over and talk to you. And it's because that's what I did, right? When they were out, I had a conversation with them. I said, hey, I understand. I'm coming into your world. I'm impacting your life. I'm going to have people in and out of here. We're going to be here early. Sometimes we're going to be here late. I don't want to impact your life. So if you need something, come find me. I have a handful of subs I work with. I work with the same guys over and over. And if you need something, touch base with them or touch base with me. I do not want to impact your life. Any complaints, let me know. I'll come fix it. And it's not lip service. I'm there every day. I'll fix it and I'll do right by it. But I just have that human communication with them that sets the tone for the job and ensures that, listen, it might not go perfect. There's going to be days that things don't go right. There's going to be days we make more noise. There's going to be days where things don't get cleaned up as best as we can. But if you are showing the effort, if you put yourself out there, if you introduce yourself, sometimes that's all the people want, to know that you are not going to disrespect them. You're not going to take advantage of them. And that if something comes up that you're there, you're available to them, right? The same thing with the party, or you're having people over for the weekend. Maybe they're stressing out. Hey, I really hope they clean up this week. We're having people over. We haven't met our son's girlfriends or fiance's family, and they're coming over, and we're really concerned what it's going to look like. If you don't have that rapport with that neighbor, they might be stressed out all week long leading up to that. But if you've developed that rapport, they understand worst case scenario, they have somebody who cares, who will fix it, who will clean the job site up, and they're not going to be stressed all week long. And that's a really, really big deal in my book. So how does this feel being on the other end of the stick, right? When I say I've experienced this on my own, being a homeowner, as well as doing it from a business owner perspective, excuse me. So I came home from vacation at the end of August, beginning of September, and the house that we live in now, there's 2 lots behind us. A builder built a huge house behind us, and I don't feel paid really much mind to coming into the neighborhood and being a steward for that land and building with the houses, the neighborhood, the land, the people who have lived there in mind. They just did what they had to do. To me, that's not how I operate. That's not how I make a business. If I were buying a piece of property, I were going to build a house, I would introduce myself to the neighbors. Just like when I go onto a job, I would make sure that whatever decisions we're making, hey, if this really doesn't work for you, let's have a conversation rather than just do what I had to do. Sure, you own the property, you bought it, but have some empathy for the other people around you. And this is me personally, this is me professionally, how I treat my clients, how I want to be treated as a homeowner myself. So the other lot on the other side of us sold. They're going to be building another house back there. So I believe the approvals ran out. Somebody purchased the land while we were on vacation. And I came home from vacation, and this is the same builder that built the other house behind us. I guess he had a client buy this to build a house. I came home from vacation. So they're aware of this property and the way the survey is and everything else and lot lines. They were here for 2.5 years before. I came home from vacation to 3 30-foot test pits dug on my property. So we own our house, and then we own about 1/3 of an acre that's just field and meadow. And the flag lot has a 35-foot easement next to that accesses the property behind that, but I own the land out front. They went into my meadow and they dug 3 30-foot test pits to get septic approval. So they had the engineer dig the test pits, and they had the county witness those test pits. So I came home and I got a hold of the realtor and was like, looks like this property sold. Can you put me in touch with the homeowners? Can you put me in touch with the builder? Somebody came and dug holes on my property, and it's not even close to where the test pits need to be done. It's probably 150 yards from it. The survey is very straightforward. The markouts are all there. It's absolutely incredible for me to believe that somebody started a build essentially on the wrong lot. That's a big deal. But nobody, when I reached out to the realtor and let them know of the situation, nobody reached out to me to make this better. It was just somewhat brushed off. And I think of it from my perspective, right? If I were the builder and I found out that this happened, it's hard to imagine, because there's no way I would have an engineer and the county on a job site of mine digging test pits without myself being there. But being that that's the case and that's what they did, it's just inexcusable to me. So if I would have found this out at the builder, I would have been out there that day. I would have gone to the homeowner's house and apologized, had a conversation with them. I'm really sorry. How can we make this right? What was planted in there? What do you need me to do? We'll make sure that the surveyor comes out here and marks your property line so nobody else goes on it. We are so sorry. That's how I would have addressed this. If I was the person who bought the property, I would have called the homeowner, the same thing. Hey, sorry, our builder really screwed up. We're going to be your neighbors, really getting off on the wrong foot. I'm so sorry about this. What can we do to make this right? I'll come out there myself and fix it, whatever we have to do. If that's the case, right, that's all that can be done. You're taking accountability for it and you're making it right. What happened was I had to chase down the people. I had to ask when they were coming out, when I never heard anything back. When I told them what type of meadow mix I had, it was just me following up. When's it going to get done? Hey, we're not the one who digs the test pits. It's the engineer. We just subcontract to them, which to me is like, that's insane to think that you hired a sub and you're saying, well, the sub made the mistake when you hired the sub and you own that. It's neither here nor there. But to me, that all could have been avoided. It could have been avoided from the outset when I'm building a house on somebody's property that they purchased. And I would say, hey, let's go introduce ourselves to the neighbors on both sides and say, we're going to be building a house on the lot behind you. We just purchased it. We're really excited. If there's anything that you need from my clients, if there's anything you need from my builder, whoever's having this conversation, please reach out to me. Here's my cell phone. We want to make this as seamless as possible. We understand we're coming in here and disrupting your life, regardless of who owns it, but we don't want to step on toes. We want this to be the best experience possible. We're really excited about our project. We're really excited to build here. To me, that makes all the difference in the world as a homeowner. So why wouldn't I want to do that to my clients' neighbors, to the people around me? That's the way that I feel business should be done. That's the way that people should be treated. Those are the relationships, the communication that should be put in place to make sure that you create allies and not adversaries. It's so simple. And maybe it makes you feel uncomfortable, but me walking over to the neighbor this morning and having that conversation with them, it was so easy. And it just created this positive communication and conversation that I have not only my client's best interest in mind, but the neighbor's best interest in mind. And that I understand that she's 9 months pregnant, and I understand that they're having their first baby, and I've been there myself and I know how that feels. And that if it comes down to it, ultimately, I'll stay home from work to make sure that you get what you need for you and your family. And that, to me, is more important than making money. It's more important than executing a really quality project. It's sometimes more important than how I treat my own clients based on the situation and what's going on with them and what's going on in their life. And it's the right thing to do. So for you guys and girls who are builders, who are remodelers, have these conversations with people. If you're buying a lot with a house on it, you're going to tear it down, and you're in a neighborhood and there's two people next to you, maybe they're upset about it. Maybe they love the house. Maybe they love the people that live there. Maybe there's some sentimental or emotional value to them. Make it easier for them. Go introduce yourself. Have the clients introduce themselves. Be a good steward for that neighborhood, for that project, for those relationships that you're building with these people. To just go in there and not say anything and start ripping a house down or digging a hole and being cold and never having the conversation or creating any sort of those open lines of communication or rapport with those clients, to me, is the wrong move all day long, and can hurt you so much, because you can have somebody who completely bust your stones for that entire build, or you can have somebody who really understands you care about them and you care about keeping their house clean and that they're protected and that they're safe and that you're not have to worry about people working at night or coming onto the property when you're not there, that you have cameras set up, that they're going to be protected and cared for throughout this entire project. And to me, it just speaks volumes for you as a person and also as a businessman. So the big lessons here: clients and neighbors, not only just your customers, are shared stakeholders in this relationship throughout these projects, right? Protect your client's reputation within their community. Let your clients' neighbors see that they hired somebody who cares, not only just about the craft, about the construction, the build itself, but they care about the people and what's going on in their lives around them. Make your neighbors, make your clients' neighbors feel considered and not disregarded. Happy neighbors can make your life so much easier throughout the job. They can just create better morale when you show up to the job on a Monday morning and they say hi to you, rather than rag on you because you left a piece of trash floated into their yard. It completely, like, happy neighbors can generate more referrals, better work, and contribute to the success of a job more than you may realize. So build the processes, not just the reactions. So those neighbor introductions, whether it's your team, whether it's you, whether it's your subcontractors, they need to be built into your project kickoff. They should be a part of that. If you try and somebody's not open to it, okay, but at least you tried. And just reiterate that, hey, I really do care about how you experience this project, and I want that to be the best experience as possible. And I'm sorry for the situation, and I'm sorry that you may be unhappy with this, but I really do care about how you feel and how you feel throughout this job, and making sure that we uphold our end of the bargain. So here's my number. If you need anything, please let me know. Control the noise, control the disruption, the management of these things. Have clear protocols for doing that every day at the end of the job, during the job, after the job, weekends. Make sure that you have a protocol for what the job needs to look like, what needs to be turned off, what doors need to be locked, who needs to be made aware of that the job is closing down for the day, what needs to be cleaned within the house, outside of the house, in the street. All of those things need to be part of your protocol. Job site etiquette, cleanup, parking, material storage. What are you doing with all of these things? What are you doing when you have a delivery and you have to shut down a part of the road? Who's going to be there to help coordinate people getting through, or making sure that neighbors aren't annoyed because they need to get to work and you're blocking traffic? So document these steps so that your team executes them consistently each and every job. So again, my experience today made me realize just how critical and just how important it is to protect not only your clients, but the people who are directly adjacent to your projects. Maybe they're down the end of the road, right? And you leave the job site and you track dirt all the way down in front of their house, and they're frustrated by it. You have to take this into account. You have to make sure that you're protecting not only your clients, but everyone else around them. It's more important that you may realize. And I think that just having this conversation today and understanding where these people are in their lives, and understanding that my client was apprehensive about me coming in right when her new neighbors are about to have a baby. And that might be a hard conversation for her to have, because she's not used to stepping on neighbors' toes. She doesn't have a business where you go and work on people's homes and you experience what this relationship and these interactions can be like. But for me, I understand that I can have a positive impact on this, or I can have a negative impact on this. I can be proactive, or I could be retroactive. I could just close my eyes, put my head down, and pretend that, hey, I'm doing my job. This is what I was hired to do. Tough shit. Sorry, that sucks, but this is life, right? That doesn't make anyone feel good. That mindset doesn't help my client. It doesn't help me, and it doesn't help my customer. So just go out of your way to create these relationships to make sure that everyone is protected, so it doesn't come back to bite you in the end. And it's a huge marketing tool. It's a huge reputational tool. It can generate leads. It can generate referrals. It can just generate peace of mind and good morale while you're on the job site. I never want to work a job where I show up every day and I know that the customers, neighbors are not happy, which in turn my client's not happy, and it just creates this really negative experience and sours the relationship between everyone. So if you're building a house, if you're starting a job, make sure that your clients know the people next door. Make sure that you know the people next door. Make sure that you're doing best to ensure that your clients are protected and everyone adjacent to your project is protected, and you have their best interest in mind. And I'm telling you, it will pay tenfold. It will get you more referrals. It will get you more good reviews. It will build company morale. It will build project morale, and you will just have a much greater experience each and every job. And that starts from the outset. And jobs are hard enough. Coordinating jobs are hard enough. Making sure that people clean up is hard enough. Do yourself this solid. Give yourself the best chance to create a really great experience for everyone involved in these projects, and include your neighbors in your process. Include your neighbors, your clients' neighbors within your process of site care, etiquette, and ensuring that the job goes smoothly. All right, guys and girls, that's it. You get the point. Make sure that you're not just focused on your needs and your clients' needs. Hopefully this is helpful and a really solid reminder for all of you to do your best on every job. And sometimes it's not necessarily about the work that's getting done and the way that you treat people. I could do an amazing job, build an amazing screen porch here. If the neighbors have a really shitty experience, it is not a win for me. I will catch you all next week.